Awesome. Hey guys, welcome to Inter Worldwide. My name's Tim, and today, sitting here on the beautiful Gold Coast, bringing you an early Milan derby match preview with a very special guest to my right here. His name's Dan. He's one of my best mates, been friends for well over 20 years now. Unfortunately, he's a Milanista, but we won't hold that against him. He's behind enemy lines here, bringing us a bit of insight from the other side. So how you doing, Dan?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I'm in the snake pit, I guess you could say.
Yeah, quite literally and figuratively in the snake pit for this one. But yeah, you excited about the game coming up on Sunday for us?
I definitely am, yeah. Last year, maybe the last couple seasons, actually, it's been worth watching again, so to speak. It's been interesting again. The banter years were very painful, but now it's always something I look forward to. It should be an interesting match.
That's for sure. Yeah, it's been a very exciting derby the last couple of seasons, particularly. Now, thanks, Matt, for being here. Appreciate the support there. Let's go, Tim. Always appreciate the support. While we're waiting for a few more people to roll in, I might just apologize because I'm sure a lot of people are logging in expecting to see Anthony's beautiful face on screen with his high energy and great insights. But I'm going to be helping out a little bit when needed, if and when needed. Anthony's been really snowed under with his new job, new career stuff going on. So it's been a bit tough for him. Here we go. Bruno's here helping us out as well. Okay, so Bruno's got a great question. Are you happy with Milan's transfer news? So yeah, it might be a good way to start is just looking back. It's only been 3 games so far, which is obviously pretty hard to have much of an opinion on anything. But how do you think Milan's transfer was at the start of the season?
I think overall the businesses have been good. You do get a bit worried when they bring so many new players in. We've been there before, and it wasn't very positive. But I feel like 3 games in, it's been looking, the team's in good shape. It's been looking good. Looks like Pioli had a lot more say in bringing these specific players in, and it looks like they're fitting the system quite well. And for the first time in a long time, we actually have some depth in most areas. The defense is still a bit light, maybe, especially to go deep into Champions League, and then also just for the long league season. But overall, I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, and do you think because of that, your club is going to be concentrating mainly just on going for that the second star, 20th Scudetto, or you think Champions League still a priority this season?
I think most of the talk has indicated that the league is the focus. But I can only imagine that we're in a position now where we want to go for everything. We're finally back kind of at the main table, and I feel like we'll push to better last year's performance, which came as a bit of a surprise, and I feel like we have a better squad this year. So with the draw, you never know. Like it's left for the draw, but we could go further.
Yeah, and you got pretty unlucky this year with the draw. Let's be honest. Thanks for the comment, Forza Inter. So when will Fratesi be a starter? I think just answering that question, I'm going to assume like Inzaghi always seems to do, and Dan's probably seen this as well. He takes a while to integrate new players. So I'm thinking it's probably going to be over the next month or 2 he'll start coming in. I think he'll take Mkhitaryan's spot. But yeah, I don't expect to see him starting the derby or anything like that. Matt Pickens got a great question. So as a Milan fan, are you jealous to see so many Italians in the Inter lineup? And I think there's none in the starting lineup. Was there for Milan this last few games?
Yeah, I don't think there has been. Yeah.
Can't think of any.
Jealous. I mean, it was very sad to see Tonali leave. That was rough. And I mean, I've always been jealous of Barella. So
yeah,
probably the answer is yes. He's such a great player, and he always turns up in the big games, especially against us. He's always scary. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether Fratesi features he obviously has had a great game for Italy, the most recent one.
Yeah, I saw that couple of
so
goals.
Yeah, that's right. So he may well force himself in there at some stage. And he's a player we were linked with if we go back to transfers, which I was actually pretty disappointed we didn't land him because he's very exciting.
Yeah.
Both for the Inter and now obviously the national team as well.
Yeah, no, you've made a few comments to me about some of our stealings of your transfer targets. Did you hear about this? Bonucci suing Juve. I didn't hear about it, but I'm not angry about it.
Yeah, it's news to me too. But I think it's got to do with a lot of their financial dealings, right, with their transfers. I imagine. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, but he's gone. So,
it's, I mean, you love to see it, I guess they say.
Yeah, something we're on the same page about here.
And some things never change, I guess, too. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know all the details. Sorry to say.
It's never a surprise. Yeah, I don't know the details yet. Maybe if you can put them in the comments, what actually is happening at the moment. We should teach them same lesson from last season. That's it. I'm not going to even try and pronounce the name because I'll butcher it, I'm sure. But thanks for the comment. But yeah, obviously all of us Inter fans are really hoping we can continue. I think it's a 4-game win streak. Is it, Dan? You probably know.
Yeah, I believe it is. And I mean, I am still. We spoke about it earlier in the feed. It's at least the match is interesting again, but I still have that hangover of I fully expect. I think Inter to get the win. But it'd be nice. I'd be happy with a draw. We get a point. With the last 2 perfect teams in the league, if I'm not mistaken, and so
I believe
it'd be good to keep that, carry that on. Leave with a well-earned draw. If we can obviously get the win, I'll take it. But I imagine it'll be Inter's. Yeah,
it's gonna be an exciting game either way. I think as an Inter fan, I think you're going through. So I think he's talking about the Champions League. He still thinks Milan's going through. I definitely would not be surprised if you guys go through in the Champions League group. It's definitely the group of death, undoubtedly. But I can definitely see you going through. Bruno said, here we go. Bruno has told us. Bonucci legal case is in regards to the way that Juve treated him with lack of game time and training restrictions prior to leaving the club.
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay.
Can you sue a club for lack of game time? Unless he's got it in his contract. That's crazy. But again,
I imagine maybe being a senior player, he was given assurances legally, I suppose. He may have had that in his contract. Not something I've heard before.
That's interesting. Restrictions. Yeah, that is a circus. That's the kind of circus we like to see as Milan and Inter fans. And Bruno's also brought up another interesting thing. Did you see the news about Pogba?
Yes, I did hear about this. So he's claiming his innocence, obviously, but
I just saw the headlines. Haven't actually read into it.
It's so he's had his injury troubles, a lot to do with his back and whatever else. Apparently, he's claiming that it was to do with treatment for his back.
Okay.
That's the line they're taking. Okay. It's pretty serious though, because if he's found to be guilty of doping, he can face up to 4-year ban.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
In the most extreme case. Yeah. And I was listening to other people speak about this, and basically at that stage, I guess his career is over.
Yeah, I know, because he's. How old is he now? He'd be.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head, but he must be he's as a professional footballer. If he serves 4 years now,
that's most of his career gone, isn't it? That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's right.
So some interesting news going on at Juve. Like we said, we always like to see it. But going back to Serie A, just to ask from a Milan perspective, who I guess has been most impressive for you so far this season? Of the other teams, who do you think's in the title race most closely with you guys at the moment?
I've heard it said, and I tend to agree. I think maybe Atalanta can really push this year.
Okay.
They've been in and around the top 4, obviously, for the last, 4 years or more.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling it's a lot more open league, I feel like, this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if a team like Atalanta comes through. They got Scamacca back now. Di Catalara looks like the player that we thought we would get, which is good for them, I guess. But Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if they push through. There's obviously also Lazio, even though they've had the bad start, the most recent result suggests that they'll could be there too.
Yeah, I was just thinking that I feel like with all those teams, like Atalanta, even Fiorentina, sometimes the two Roman teams, all four of them, they kind of have the ability. Like you could see them pushing up towards top four, but then they could also flop pretty bad and finish 8th or 9th. Like it's very hard to know those teams how they're going to perform throughout a whole season.
100%.
But
especially like Roma has a pretty stacked team in many ways, especially some of the late business they did. But
well, that's what Bruno's bringing up. What do you think about Lukaku going to Roma? So obviously, from our perspective, we've talked about it plenty on the Inter side of things. Not happy about it in a lot of ways. I'd rather see him go there than other places. But he's obviously a bit of a snake, no pun intended. What do you reckon, Dan? What are you feeling about it? Do you think he offers them enough firepower to get him top 4?
How are they going to do? They're just really hard to predict, man. With Mourinho, they're too like. I could very much see a meltdown happening. I could see him not making it through the season. But then Lukaku may have found like the best solution for himself given the circumstances, because look, he's kind of Mourinho's also a kind of manager that has this whole, siege mentality thing going on. He might be able to like instill that in Lukaku. So if they keep those key people fit, they could be dangerous. And like that being said, we played them, most recently. It was a depleted squad. And so it does point to the fact that if they do have those key injuries, maybe they can't keep it together. They won't be consistent enough to challenge.
Yeah, that was telling, very telling, that game. But just going through the last couple of comments, because we can't stay on too long today. We'll hopefully be able to get Dan back on another time when there's another Milan game later this season. But do you think Lazio will embarrass Italy in the Champions League? I don't know. Depends if they're concentrating on it or not. If they kind of throw it, I can see them embarrassing us a bit. But if they actually go for it, no. What do you feel like, Dan? With Lazio?
Embarrass Italy in Champions League. Yeah, it depends. I guess it depends if Immobile turns up.
That's a huge question mark every time.
He's great in the league. But his international performance and I guess against other European sides, you just don't know. I don't think they'll be embarrassed. I can't off the top of my head remember their group, but I feel like they'll definitely get some good results there. Yeah, it's doable.
It's definitely a doable group, but it's a tough one to know for sure. I think, like I said, I can see Sarri kind of throwing Champions League for trying to get the top 4 again in the league, but I think so. We'll see. But just bring it back to the Milan derby again. Just last couple of questions. So it's always interesting to hear, what do you think for your team, Milan? What do you think is the biggest strength and the biggest weakness at the moment as your team?
Yeah, good question. So I feel like we have a much stronger midfield again now.
Yeah.
I feel like when we won the Scudetto and the year before that even, I feel like when we had Kessier and Benacer in there, I think that was key to what made us so competitive and what kept the consistency. And then we kind of lost that a little bit through injury and transfers, whatever else. But I feel like now with Reinders, who probably has been the most impressive player, in my opinion, of the new transfers, just because it was like a bit more of an unknown. I feel like with his energy in there, with Ruben Loftus-Cheek as well, we have that physicality that he's looked good. So I feel like that's a strength. As far as weaknesses, it has to be the defense at the moment. It was already looking a bit thin.
Yeah, with Tomori and Kalulu out.
That's right. So with those, it was looking thin already, and then now we've had the injuries. I feel like we're gonna have a hard time keeping Lautaro quiet and Thuram as well. I think with their movement, it's going to be difficult. What about you, man? What do you see?
Yeah, well, I think. Do you mean for Milan or for Inter?
For Inter, sorry.
Yeah, so I think at the moment, definitely, I think our depth is our strength. Like I feel like if you put our second string 11 on, it's still going to be competing for top 8 positions in the league. Like it's actually a really good team. So, but I think specifically our midfield is super strong at the moment, particularly when Fratesi, I think, starts taking over from Mkhitaryan. But yeah, Barella's been great. Chanelonou's been great, which is probably pretty painful for you. And yeah, obviously Mkhitaryan's always pretty classy. So I think our midfield's been great, but yeah, up front, Thuram, I've been really impressed with. Like his goal scoring numbers aren't overly impressive at the moment, but his assists and his like passing and his movement is incredible. So he has the ability to be incredible. I'd say our weakness at the moment still, probably the thing I'm most worried about is defense, just because Pavard hasn't come in yet. De Vrij has been shaky in recent years. He's been pretty good this season so far, but he's always got the ability to be real shaky all of a sudden. And obviously Sommer has only just started, so even he hasn't looked he's looked a bit shaky than usual that you see him. So probably the defense, goalkeeping, that kind of area is the biggest question mark right now. But I do have like, a lot of confidence that they will get there. It's such an early part of the season. But yeah, being Champions League finalists is a massive strength. So I do agree. And I think that's, even for Milan as well, making the semi-finals, I think there's like this new confidence in both teams that you're seeing when we play lower mid-level teams, like with you guys with Roma, us with Fiorentina. It's like we have that confidence. No, we are better and we're going to dominate you. And so it's looking pretty good. But I think I'm hoping the weakness is what I was expecting, is the back line for Milan, that Lautaro being on fire at the moment can take advantage.
100%.
But yeah, so what I guess we'll finish up with score predictions. It's always a bit embarrassing because it's usually wrong. But honest opinion, gun to head, what do you think is your prediction for the scoreline this Sunday?
Yeah, I was having to think about this earlier. I think I mentioned it as well. I think Inter will win. I think it'll be 3-1 Inter, I think.
Okay.
That's what I'm feeling.
And who's goal scorers?
Who's goal scorers? I think Lautaro gets a brace, I think.
Yeah.
And then I'll throw Thuram in. I think the front two will be very dangerous and they'll bounce off each other.
Okay. Yeah. And who thinks scoring for you guys?
That's what I'm thinking.
Is Giroud in, by the way? Is he?
Yeah, he's still a doubt, actually. I haven't seen anything. It may have been updated recently, but I haven't seen anything that confirms that he'll be there. I think he's trying to be there, but he might not be. Yeah. As far as our scorers, maybe Pulisic gets one. He's been in good form.
Yeah, he's looking good.
So he'd be a good shout for putting some money down.
Yeah, I have to admit that's I think that's the thing for me. That's when I look at the Milan team, the Pulisic, and then obviously the left side with Teo and Leao at the moment, they're just very scary when they go forward. So I think you guys in attack are extremely scary, but hopefully, defense-wise will let you down a little bit. What we got here? So Toro, Thuram, Sanchez for Inter. That'd be pretty cool to see Alexis score, and then Pulisic for me.
That's right.
That's a good shout.
Yeah,
that's a good shout. So actually, you said, Dan, when we talked a couple of weeks ago, you thought Arnautovic was going to score against you, didn't you? I think you said you thought.
Yeah, I just have a feeling we were talking about how some of these transfers last minute have not gone our way.
Yeah.
And they've ended up in black and blue. But maybe not in this match because he hasn't been starting. But I can have a feeling he's going to pop up and do something. Because we were linked with him still under Maldini, like even a couple of seasons ago. It didn't happen. And then he was on the radar briefly at the beginning of the transfer window, but then it's gone. But I can imagine he'll be keen for it. So.
Yeah, it'll be a very interesting game. But we've actually probably got to wrap up the video now, because funnily enough, Dan and I are both playing in a five-a-side final in a couple of hours. So we're actually on the same team tonight, which should be good. So you pumped for that, buddy?
I am. It should be good.
Pumped. Yeah, it should be a good game. So we'll leave the specifics of the lineups and all that kind of stuff to hopefully Anthony or Bruno, one of the boys, will be able to get a video out later this week, closer to the actual derby happening. But hopefully this has been an enjoyable video for you guys. I'll probably be seeing more of you guys on there. And again, we'll get Dan back on the show. He's been a great guest. Thanks for coming on, Dan.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. It's been fun.
Thanks, mate. All right. We'll catch you guys soon.
Bye.